Welcome to another episode of the Info Hazard Podcast Show. I'm your host, David, here with my buddy Dan, and this week, our third co-host, Phil, bribes a congressman.
I totally know about this and have been prepped on it, but why don't you fill the audience in on exactly what the fuck is going on here?
I read two articles this week, and they both featured my favorite non-kosher breakfast food congressman, Don Bacon from Nebraska. And of course, Phil knows him as the congressman that he's going to be bribing this episode. So, okay, these two articles that I read. Article number 1 in The Economist is titled, "The Crummiest Job in Washington, Congressman is Getting Worse. Longer hours, lower pay." It's because intern isn't technically a job. I think that's where this...
I don't think any of those Congress people would trade their jobs with the janitor, for example.
Fast food worker, etc.
I don't know. What is that an official term for like the sex slaves they keep in underground?
Again, not a job.
Slaves by definition not paid. Good point.
It's an occupation, but not a job.
So anyway, that was number 1. Don Bacon featured in that article. He's a Republican congressman from Nebraska, and he's calling it quits this year. He was quoted saying, "I'm tired of doing elections every 2 years. I'm tired of raising 6 to 7 million every 2 years. It's a 12 to 14-hour daily grind."
If only there was something he could do about that, like change the law so that campaign finance isn't such a ridiculous, farcical mess. But alas, he's just a humble congressman with no influence, unable to affect the nation in any substantial way.
But hey, you would think, right, it sucks for all of them. But also, the only reason any of them are elected congresspeople is because they were able to win in that system. So it's like they're heavily incentivized to keep the system the way it is, but also they are subject to the hell they have created for themselves. Just a constant churn of sucking up to the worst people in the world.
So the second article I read, Danny actually sent, it was on MSN. Republican joins with Dems on constitutional amendment to give Congress power to reject Trump pardons. And the Republican in that article was Don Bacon. So as is their habit, on the way out, Republicans show like little bits of sanity. And so which is why Phil told me over DMs that he was going to bribe Don Bacon to continue to stay in the race and stick it out and make this amendment actually happen.
Do Democrats do the same thing on their way out? Like, is there an equivalent version of this where it's like, yeah, I'm going to retire next year, so I'm going to start accepting money from Palantir. Do they suddenly turn shitty at the end or more shitty?
Well, no, I mean, I think that it's actually kind of like the opposite, right? It's like, okay, they feel like now that they don't need to worry about being reelected, they can actually like do normal stuff. Like try to stand up in a mild way against our authoritarian president. Or what are some other examples of this? Or, vote yes on his impeachment, or what other things? Oh, like Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, actually, I'm not going to be super duper crazy about every single thing now that I'm leaving.
They light a firecracker and throw it over their back as they walk out the door. What I'm asking is, do the Democrats do the inverse of this? Like, they're incentivized to be trying to take the president to task by nature of, him being in the other party. Do they, I don't know, like what are some Democrats retiring this year?
Well,
like, what are they doing?
Who was the senator from like West Virginia, maybe?
Joe Manchin, maybe?
Joe Manchin. That's what I'm talking about. So I feel like, I mean, I don't know what he was like before he was retiring, but once he was retiring, he decided to not vote with Democrats on anything, right? I kind of remember that.
No, he was always kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was a centrist, as it were. Vote sometimes with one party, sometimes with the other.
Well, it would have been convenient if he wasn't, because it would have been a good example. But I, as it stands, I don't think I can think of an example of this going the other way.
I feel like mostly Democratic congresspeople seem to leave feet first. They just age out of the office and die in office. It's the ones I can think of, like Feinstein or, Pelosi, I guess, is retiring? Is she still in Congress and just not speaker? I can't remember.
I think she is retiring. She's in Congress still, though.
Yeah, so I guess she could be an example if she's been doing anything out of character.
Running around, cartwheeling, backflips, that would be pretty out of character.
It's very frustrating when these people appear to grow an iota of spine as they walk out the door. It's like, so you're afraid of losing your primary?
They're afraid of not being able to raise that $6 or $7 million.
This is a bold plan on my part. I think I'm going to start bribing this congressman now after they've signaled that they no longer have an interest in raising money. I guess he'll need money going forward. He won't be able to count on like
His insider trading.
NRA. He won't be able to count on the NRA for money.
But so there are some interesting diagrams, charts in that Economist article. I think I'm going to share a couple with you guys. So yeah, this one right here is kind of interesting. You can see the number of laws passed each congressional term, and basically we've been trending down since 1950. They're passing fewer laws now than they were in 1870, more than they were passing during the Civil War. But like that's the last time they were passing less laws. So
I like how they made up for lost time after the Civil War. There was a lot of business to take care of right after the peace deal. Got some amendments even. Yeah, it was pretty significant. I don't know if you heard about this, but the Civil War kind of a big deal. And then you can kind of see the other spikes. There's a lot of activity leading up to like after the Great Depression, kind of New Deal era.
right.
Like up to World War II, and then like right after World War II, and then it kind of goes down from there.
Well, like we were talking about last week, they just let the president do everything now, so there's no need to make laws.
Right. It's like it's a sign of like a system that is breaking, right? Or that's decaying. It's no longer functional. So this is the number of threats against congresspeople or their families and staff that have been investigated by the Capitol Police year by year.
Wow, topping out at 15. I guess people aren't that mad. Oh, it's in thousands. Okay, got it.
Right.
That seems low.
It's like I threatened them like 15 times last week.
There was a threat element in my bribe emails.
Presented the
It
carrot
might have
and the
gotten mixed
stick.
in the 2025 stats here. Also, I'm a little worried that people are reading my bribe emails.
Yeah, 15,000, so a lot, and also, way up. Not quite double the average of the preceding 5 years, but, all getting there. So that's a good reason to not want to be in Congress, I guess, if you're being threatened with violence.
I mean, I'm interested to see the statistics for other jobs. As a computer programmer, how many thousands of threats do you get against you or your family per year?
If you consider like video game programmers, they get a lot, dude. People get mad about bugs. They get mad about slow development.
I mean, basically every LinkedIn post threatens like immediate destruction of my industry. So that's kind of like a threat against myself and my family.
Yeah.
I talked to a computer and it built Salesforce in 2 minutes for free. Anyways. So anyway, this is the total U.S. Congress staff in thousands. There are not.
Wait, they have more than 4 staff, dude? I don't know. It doesn't seem plausible.
It's a little weird that it's like hovering between 2 and 3, right?
He works part-time, dude.
Is it a measure of their humanity? Like between the thousands of staff, there's only about 4 real people worth of soul left, and it's kind of trending towards 1?
Right.
Or is it like they're getting chopped into bits?
I think probably there's an element of each of these. Right. So anyway.
Yeah, don't check the basement. Another good reason.
So, yeah, I mean, the argument they're making in the article is that congresspeople are understaffed and can't do their job. Like, their job is hard because they don't have the staff to do their job. Their job is to analyze and understand and write laws. But yeah, apparently, I mean, I don't actually know what happened in the 90s. That is
Contract for America, dude.
Yeah, what was that? Educate me.
It's, some of the OG Republican bullshittery really starting. With Newt Gingrich, all the classics. The government's too big, we gotta cut it. Never vote for anything that's, deficit financing or whatever. Unless it's our extra special pet project.
Congress isn't really writing laws. Lobbyists are writing laws. So, yeah, that's why these are a couple of the reasons why the job of congressman is not as influential and, it's not as good as people think it is. And why they are retiring in throngs. These are some of the reasons.
The third point of the Contract for America was to cut the number of House committees and cut committee staff by 1/3.
Why should we understand laws and write good laws? Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so that's that concept. But I also did want to talk a little bit about this constitutional amendment, which, Danny, you sent this to me because it sounds a lot like an amendment that I have proposed. And I'm not mad at them for the uncredited plagiarism, because this is a really important thing to do. It's very watered down from my version. But so, okay, what this basically does is it's an amendment that lets Congress cancel a pardon within 60 days. Basically, if you have something like 20 members of the House and 5 senators, so easily either party can get this, but one loony can't, then you can force a vote to review a pardon, and a 2/3 supermajority can override it. So this,
Okay, but
yeah, go ahead.
they only have to stall for 60 days? They can vote for this with impunity because they would never happen.
Yeah, but it looks pretty bad if you're, delaying the vote on canceling the pardon for this guy who defrauded Medicare for $1 billion or whatever.
No, I don't think.
I don't know
I think
about
you
all
can't
that.
delay it. I think the point is they can force a vote on it. Like the usual delay tactics wouldn't work against us. Kind of like what was the technique that they used to force this vote on the Epstein files? A discharge petition. So discharge petition requires a minimum of 218 signatures to proceed. So in the House, Mike Johnson had no interest in letting this vote happen. It would never come to a vote, but 218 members of the House, including some Republicans, signed this petition, and that forced a vote on it. And I think the idea with this amendment is that a much smaller group can force a vote on a pardon, something like 20 members of the House and 5 members of the Senate, which would force people, these days to go on the record approving these corrupt pardons. Of course, my proposal was to go much further, get rid of the
Just
pardon
abolish.
power.
Seems cleaner.
And also to nullify past pardons. That may be less clean. That sounds messy.
I mean, then that sounds incredibly messy. That sounds like, this last week, the Trump administration lost a battle in court. The tariffs, the
IEEPA.
The IEEPA tariffs got nullified. And then there was speculation, okay, so now the government has to pay back all these people because these were illegal.
Yeah.
But,
super messy.
Yeah, it would be messy if they didn't just decide to illegally hold all those funds.
Right. So speaking of messy, nullifying all past pardons, that does sound kind of messy, but, anyway.
Yeah, you got to track down Rob Blagojevich, and a lot of these people fled the country.
The actions of innocent men who should have been pardoned.
Well, why do you need to flee the country if you've been pardoned?
Just in case.
You already won there.
Yeah.
Maybe even though you've been pardoned and you can't face legal consequences, some of your American goodwill is gone. Maybe your business contacts no longer trust you after you're imprisoned, and then you bribe your way out of your jail sentence.
Imprisoned in many cases for defrauding your other business partners.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get a visit from a follower of Luigi's or Mario's brother.
So anyway,
plumbing enthusiasts.
This amendment, or an amendment like it, is very important. And also, constitutional amendments are important. Our Constitution is on the brink of irrelevance.
Oh, just because it can be ignored with impunity? Is that why?
Well, yeah. I mean, not only can it be ignored with impunity, like it is ignored in the actual application of laws, right? And it has been. And it's not just that Donald Trump ignores it. The pillars that our jurisprudence is built on is basically based on very hand-wavy interpretations of the Constitution. Sorry, the interstate commerce clause, totally nonsensical interpretation of it. I mean, even some people would say that Roe v. Wade was a nonsensical interpretation of the Constitution. We talked previously about how basically a wealth tax is just not even constitutional. Our Constitution doesn't even permit us to tax in very obvious and reasonable ways. So yeah, this is a problem.
When the founding fathers said don't spy on your citizens, what they meant was take your citizens' data, pass it to a nearby country, let them spy on your citizens and tell you what they're up to, dude.
And the whole way that war is waged in this country, totally ignoring the intention of the Constitution. So,
yeah, so we haven't been in any wars since Congress last declared war in 1941, dude. What are you complaining about? There's been no fighting or problems.
The Constitution is bordering on irrelevance, and yet we have the ability to amend it and we could amend it to not be irrelevant. There's the meta amendment that should happen, making it easier to make an amendment. But I think this is great. This amendment is great. Don Bacon, if you're listening, I'll throw
thumbs up.
I'll throw in another 20.
David, thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly. I know you're sick of raising money, and I know you're a Republican, but I will donate to your campaign if you stick around. Don't be a wimp.
It would be fucking nice if it wasn't like two separate circles of a Venn diagram of staying in Congress and growing a spine. That would be great. It would be great if there was some connection. You could be that connection, Mr. Bacon.
General Bacon. Did you know the man was a general? I mean, maybe he's leaving Congress because he's going to run for president, but, probably not. But he's a general. You should have a spine if you're a general, right? I don't know, man.
Well, what do you call him then? Because, congressperson, in my mind, is like a higher honor than general. I think it's maybe harder to become a general.
I thought you just called him Mr.
Or Congressman
I just
General.
said Mr. What do you call a congressperson? Is it
Congressman?
Excellency?
Yeah, I think it's just senator or whatever, or representative, whoever.
Yeah, representative, congressperson.
Anyway, you've had a great career, Don. Stick around and stick it to the other Don and pass some laws. You could pass laws. Vote with the other side.
Don't let bacon be fried.
That's right. And if you love bacon, leave a comment. If you have a donation for Don Bacon, leave a comment with the amount.
If you approve of Donald Trump's pardons, please tell us why.
And that's it for another sizzling, crispy, fattening episode of the InfoHazard Podcast Show. See you next time.